Many junior penetration testers and SOC analysts enter the field relying entirely on prepackaged tools. They load up platforms like Metasploit, select a pre-built payload, and click launch. Executing a tool is an operational skill, but it does not equal architectural understanding. You can fire a script 1,000 times without knowing how the underlying exploit parses memory or bypasses a firewall. Advancing in this field requires transitioning from a user of scripts to a builder of systems. Modern security architectures require the coordination of massive streams of live, conflicting data, as seen in large-scale mission control environments. To understand exactly how these environments are constructed, we can deconstruct two advanced engineering projects. First, the Web Application Firewall, or WAF, a system designed for proactive layer defense. Second, the Exploit Development Framework, an automated offensive engine engineered to test those defenses. Constructing these two diametrically opposed systems provides a functional perspective on how data is protected and targeted at the application layer. If you expose a standard web application directly to the public internet, it is vulnerable to anyone with an IP address and a basic scanning tool. The vast majority of modern exploits hide inside Layer 7 traffic. These are the standard HTTP and HTTPS requests your server must accept to function. To protect the server without cutting off legitimate users, engineers build a Web Application Firewall, a programmable reverse proxy designed to intercept this specific traffic. This topology shows the WAF node being positioned between the public internet and the web server. It acts as a checkpoint. Every incoming HTTP request stops at the WAF for inspection before it can reach the backend server. Without this interception layer, malicious queries flow directly into your database architecture. Once the traffic is paused, the WAF initiates the first stage of its internal logic pipeline, raw input parsing, breaking down the headers and body of the request to read its intent. Centralizing traffic inspection at the WAF allows engineers to monitor and filter HTTP requests before they reach the web application's internal logic. Inside that choke point, the WAF relies on a dual-layered filtering mechanism. The first layer consists of predefined deterministic security rules. These rules utilize regular expressions and pattern matching to scan incoming traffic for known malicious syntax. This dual-pane view highlights the match between an incoming SQL injection payload and the specific regex rule inside the WAF library. The engine executes a drop action, terminating the threat while allowing the next clean HTTP request to pass through. Deterministic rules are effective against known signatures, but they have a limitation. Because they rely on strict pattern matching, predefined rules cannot catch zero-day exploits, nor can they stop payloads that have been obfuscated to hide their intent. To address this, the WAF requires a second filtering layer, machine learning anomaly detection. Instead of looking for specific malicious code, the ML model observes total traffic patterns over time to establish a mathematical baseline of normal user behavior. If a request or a rapid sequence of requests deviates from this behavioral baseline, the engine flags it as an anomaly, even if it contains no known attack signatures. Combining deterministic rules with behavioral machine learning creates a defense in-depth strategy capable of adapting to unseen threats. To understand the strength of the perimeter, we must look at the tools designed to test it. The Exploit Development Framework is an automated offensive engine engineered to identify and exploit vulnerabilities. This flowchart illustrates the framework's architecture. It moves from the vulnerability scanner to the payload generator, into the Evasion engine, and finally to the deployment module. It begins at the vulnerability scanner, which identifies open ports and catalogs software versions running on the backend services. Passive scanning identifies potential issues, but active exploitation is necessary to empirically confirm a system's vulnerability. That data feeds the payload generator, which crafts a malicious packet tailored to the specific vulnerabilities identified by the scanner. Payloads must be specific. Code designed to exploit a web server's logic will often fail against a database-level flaw, requiring precise, unique structuring. Automating discovery and payload generation allows penetration testers to scale offensive operations beyond the limits of manual hacking. The generated packet then enters the third phase of the framework, the Evasion engine. Attackers use obfuscation to bypass perimeter defenses like WAFs and antivirus software, which are designed to drop recognized malicious strings. The engine achieves evasion through dynamic code mutation, altering the structural appearance of the payload while preserving its core function. This mutation is intended to trick the WAF's deterministic rules into categorizing the malicious packet as benign traffic. Once disguised, the attack is handed off to the final phase, the deployment module, which executes the launch against the target. When a payload successfully breaches the system, the primary goal is often to establish a reverse shell. Standard firewalls block unrecognized incoming traffic. A reverse shell forces the compromised target server to initiate an outbound connection back to the attacker. By leveraging allowed outbound ports, the reverse shell bypasses inbound firewall restrictions, allowing the attacker to move from external reconnaissance to internal network access. When you conceptualize the WAF and the exploit framework side by side, you are looking at the two primary components of modern cyber operations. Here, we trace the lifecycle of a single packet. The exploit framework generates a mutated payload on the left, and the WAF intercepts it on the right. The WAF identifies the anomaly and drops the packet before it reaches the internal server. Building the WAF yourself requires a mastery of HTTP protocol parsing, data sanitization, and defensive scaling. Conversely, engineering the exploit framework requires a rigorous understanding of memory parsing, network routing, and the logic of defensive systems. Decades ago, identifying a vulnerability meant a human sitting at a single terminal, manually probing a system for hours. Modern security requires defenders who understand exactly how offensive automation operates. By architecting both offensive and defensive tools from first principles, a professional develops the technical depth required to design, test, and secure complex web environments.